Now, I want to talk about the main character, Jax. She's a sandwich mom, or sandwich woman, as you would like to call her. Why don't you explain to us what that is and the life that she leads in the book?
Jax is a great character. She's a sandwich mum, and that term means that she is squashed between caring for her children and her parents, and it's becoming more and more common the world over through economic necessity, through lack of space, that's what women are finding themselves doing. So she's living in this sandwich. She has a great family. She's married to a guy she knows from school, Pete, who's lovely. She has 2 children, Martha and Jonty, who's hilarious. And I always like to have a character in my books that kind of provides the humour, because I know that in my life, you know, even when things are low or bad, there's always something funny that can lift that moment or lift that situation. So I kind of employ that as a tactic. But Jax really wakes up one day, looks in the mirror and thinks, gosh, is this it? You know, and she has that little space in her head, that escape place that she goes to. And I think we all do it, Jennifer, in a way. If only I'd said yes to him, said no to her, turned left, turned right, made a different decision. That sort of fantasy world that can often help us get through things that are quite challenging. And she does that a lot. And then in her life, her daughter she sees as the key to her future. She lives her life through her daughter. In fact, Martha turns around one day and says, "You live your life vicariously through me." And Jax has to go and find a dictionary and look up the word vicariously because she doesn't know what it means. You know, she's not as well educated as her daughter. And there's a bit of conflict going on. It's, I guess, a challenge. She's given her daughter confidence to have the wings to fly and soar and seek her own future. But at the same time, she wants to keep her close and kind of hold her tight. And it's a tight walk you tread as a parent, the balance between wanting to wrap them in cotton wool and advise them at every turn, but also giving them the freedom to flourish.
What's the hardest lesson you've learned as a parent?
I think to try and not impose what I think is best for my kids on them. So we have a saying in our house, happy is the goal. If you're happy, then you've won, because happiness is everything. But I did believe, when my kids were growing up, that I knew what would make them happy. So I would maybe encourage them in academic decisions, or have you seen this brochure for this course? And why don't you invite that friend for supper? You know, really trying to mould them, even though I didn't want to be that mum. You kind of do it automatically. So I'm having to hold back, and that's what I've learned, that my kids flourish when I give them true freedom, and that means freedom to make their own mistakes.
That must be hard.
It's really hard, yeah. Because you don't want them to have to go through anything horrible. You don't want them to do anything that you can see maybe leading to a dead end, but you've kind of got to let them so they can learn themselves and flourish.
What do you hope women take away from the book?
I hope that they think about their own situation and, like me, find joy in the small things. You know, we don't have to climb mountains, we don't have to make discoveries, we don't have to be first-class scientists to make a difference to the world. What we need to do is have joy in smelling the coffee on a beautiful clear day, on the rain that makes things grow. We need to take joy in the small stuff and let kindness be our currency, particularly kindness to other women. I'm absolutely passionate about the sisterhood, about encouraging other women to strive to reach their goals, about offering support and compliments. You know, let's face it, if we didn't feel that women were judging other women, the world would be so much nicer to live in. So I think that, kinder to each other.
If Jax had a Pinterest or Instagram account, what would it look like?
I love that. That's a really good question. I think she would be very drawn to things about her hometown because she's a real homebody. I think she would also use it in a way to follow her dreams and maybe have places like Paris and New York, places she has no chance of ever visiting, but just the idea of going there would make her feel very fulfilled. And then, of course, her kids. She'd have tons of pictures of her kids, the kinds that we just skim over because they're boring to anyone else. Loads of those.
The kinds that you're like, why do I still follow this person?
Great, your child's having a bath. Wonderful, on we go. Yeah, those. She'd have lots of that, I think.
On the topic of social media, you have a really active Twitter account and hundreds of thousands of followers. What's the strangest tweet you've ever received?
That's a really good question. The strangest tweet I've ever received. I think I once had someone who said, would you like my page? And when I went to the page, it said, pictures of the Pope looking like cucumbers. And there was cucumbers and the Pope, and they were saying, do you think this cucumber looks like the Pope? I'm like, no, I don't think it does. And you had to rate it. That was pretty weird.
I'm sorry, I'm laughing uncontrollably because did you like the page?
Of course, it was hilarious. You know, I'm trying to write and there I am looking at a picture of a cucumber going, does that look like the Pope? I'm going to say no. And I'm thinking, why am I even given this time?
I'm going to go look that up right now.
You should. It's good. It's worth it. You won't regret it.
Amanda, thank you very much for coming in. What can we expect from you next?
More books, much more of the same. Yeah, I've got 4 new books coming out next year.
4, you are a busy woman. I can't imagine what's going on in your head.
It's busy. I'm writing as I'm talking to you now. Wow. I'm on chapter 3 and I'm just having this conversation. Oh, chapter 4 now. There we go. So I'm also I'm writing plays. A lot of my books look at being made into movies. So I've got a lot going on. Very exciting, and I just feel very blessed and very lucky.
Well, I can't wait to see all of those exciting things in your future.
Thanks for having me.